Time for the finals. We are on the draw with a land-heavy hand, but I think Golgari can manage with that. And we have a great start of Bloodleth Troll into Stonefell Crocodile, so don't think we mulligan this, given that we have perfect mana. And my friend the Dagger Drum Imp, which did a pretty good job last match. So I just run out the Troll here. I don't think it's necessary to regenerate it. And the earlier it's in play, the more difficult it becomes for our opponent to deal with it. Although I'm not a big fan of just recklessly throwing my creatures in there, as long as they aren't dominated on the board, there's actually no reason to do that. So it looks like our opponent is thinking about his play here. Oh, interesting, an X-Bane Guardian. So it looks like he isn't going to be able to block, obviously, because we are just going to discard a creature otherwise. What we could do is make our Troll 3 power immediately, which is kind of what we want to be doing anyway, sooner or later. The question is if we really want to get rid of any of our creatures. I think our curve of Crocodile into Imp plus Salvage into another Crocodile is pretty nice. Although the Salvage is probably going to find us some more stuff as well. No, I don't think we need to be overly aggressive here. We can always use the Troll defensively as well. And against the white deck with at least 2 ways to exile creatures in Celestial Charm and Trostani's Judgment, it's also kind of dangerous to just go all in on the Troll. Looks like we are playing against another token deck. At least he's tapping out, so he doesn't have an immediate Rootborn defenses or anything like that. That block is okay. We could have Grisly Salvage to gain some more information first, but I think we are fine with these trading. He wants to keep the Centaur around, which is understandable. Now, what we could do is Grisly Salvage now to gain some more information. I still think that we want the Imp in play rather than the Crocodile, and it's very likely that we can scavenge onto it. So yeah, I know what we are going to do. We're going to deal him 2, that's sufficient. Then we can just play the Dagger Dome. And I'm going to delay the Grisly Salvage until he passes the turn, to not give him the information that we might have another creature or something to scavenge, which he doesn't know currently. So let's see what this turns up. We have the Drudge Beetle as a way to scavenge, and a lot of creatures. We actually mill a lot of good cards here, sadly, but I mean, what can we do? We're going to take the long legs. We aren't going to need to regenerate the Troll, or if we do, then it's fine to spend the mana, I guess. So I think that's better than a Jailbreaker, simply because of the additional power. I still don't think that he can do anything about the Troll, but it's possible that we see a block here, but we didn't, so. Might have been a mistake to keep the Stonefell Crocodile that long. We could have dealt quite a lot of extra damage already, but like I said, I don't really like to do that. It's really weak. Just imagine him untapping and dropping a larger defender or paralyzing grasp or whatever. Inspiration. Also Arrest is a card, so didn't really see a reason to do that. Okay, the Longlegs is probably going to get detained, but that's not too bad. We are doing very fine here. He knows that the Griffin isn't going to be able to block, which gives us the option to scavenge now, which does mean that we can't attack with the Troll. We don't have 2 creatures in hand, sadly, otherwise we would easily be able to attack with it, and then if he dares to block, we just discard both. But given that we have only the Crocodile, I don't want to risk it. The Troll is too good to play that aggressively. And we are doing very fine on the ground anyway, so there's no real reason. We also have 2 Giant Growths left in our deck, which could prove quite valuable. I also like that the long legs have the extra power, which means that we don't just run into a card like Calm Bond. So we are out of Scavenge, and if we kill his Drudge Beetle, he can make his Sunspire Griffin grow out of bounds, which is certainly not what we want to be doing. So I think the Beetle forces us to just race with the Daggerdrome Imp, but that's actually pretty good, given that we are still advancing our board, and he has no way to kill his Drudge Beetle. Now, I think with this board, it's just better to run out all of our creatures rather than keeping some for the Troll. The Troll is still fine as a 2-1 Trampler with Regenerate, and we are doing fine here. Now, he could have something for the Imp to make our block worse. We also could just make a 3/3 Centaur's Herald, then attack with everything. But I think we are just going to try to see what our flying offense does. And if that doesn't work, then we can still make other plans. Now, that Terrace Worm looks pretty juicy. We could discard it into the Troll and just make a giant Daggerdrome Imp. So that means even if he has Rootborn defenses or a good combat trick, then our Imp still dominates the board. I like that best because him keeping back the Sunspire Griffin means that whatever he has is probably relying on his blocker, so it's much less likely to be something that gets rid of Daggerdrome Imp immediately. The one thing he could have where this would be really, really bad is a Selesnya Charm. But I also don't want to attack my Imp into Sunspire Griffin to lose it to Selesnya Charm and any other combat trick he might have drawn. So, especially given that he is on 8, I think that's a pretty nice play. And because of Rootborn defenses, I'm only going to attack with the Imp. Okay. So, once again, Selesnya, this time splashing blue for inspiration, it seems like. Kind of a weird splash. Also don't know why this is an X-Bane Guardian deck, it doesn't look like one. Given that his late game plays were pretty low utility cards. Don't even know if we want to board all that much. He does have flyers, so I'm going to keep in Aerial Predation for sure. And Trestle is always good against Selesnya because it has 4 toughness, so I think this is actually the first time that we just keep everything as it is. Zero Shambler, once again, not amazing, but it's really important to have a critical mass of Scavenge. Pretty slow draw, but very good 3-drops. I'm not going to mulligan. Mana is fine as well, so should be okay. There's always some draws where you just crumble. Like if he goes into a turn 2 Centaur token and then has one of the many ways to blow us out on the attack, then it's kind of difficult, but I think we'll do fine. Like a Centaur healer is nothing to sneeze at, but it's also not unbeatable. Okay, drawing the Troll here certainly helps as well, being the amazing card that it is. So This is actually kind of difficult. We certainly want to discard at least one creature into the troll. We have a pretty legitimate shot at racing here, but have to be careful not to run into too many cards. So we could make the troll a 6 power creature to kill in 4 turns. We could also make it, well, 5 power doesn't make much sense, so alternatively we just play it defensively, which includes dropping a Trestle Troll. And the third option is also just to go for a Stonefair Crocodile, which we could then make larger with the help of Troll. So it seems like using the troll defensively is certainly what we want here. I don't want to run into too many spells, but I have to run into some, especially because I don't have a second green available yet. So hopefully we can see what happens. I think I have to block the Griffin here. He's always going to make the attack, and it doesn't tell me anything about the spells he might have. The worst card he could have there is Combond, but I have Assassin Strike in my hand, and some ways to gain life as well. Okay, he doesn't even attack. And we draw the second green, which is very good. So now we can just drop the Crocodile, keeping open both Regeneration and Giant Growth. Still don't see a reason to attack here. It's much more likely that he has something that makes him want to attack. Okay, that's interesting. An 8/8 is certainly good if he ever gets to populate it. But as long as it's just on the ground, we can regenerate without any problem. Could go for Jailbreaker here, just keeping open the black, because it's unlikely that we need the Giant Growth next turn. I think that's a fair assessment. The elemental alone doesn't really change much. Of course, it's possible that he just feels like attacking with everything, and then he has certain cards that blow us out, but that has been a recurring theme during this draft, and there's only a limited amount of options we have to play around that. Now, in the best case, he doesn't attack at all. Okay, that doesn't look like it's happening. So, let's see. The Troll is, of course, an easy block on the Elemental, but we could also use it to just eat one of his creatures. Now, if he has a Populate spell, then it's really, really bad anyway. If he has Combond, it's kind of bad. But I think he would have used Combond earlier to deal with the Trestle Troll, so could just be something like +X and Trample, which would mean that a regular block is actually fine. Now, if he has Rootborn Defenses, we are looking pretty weak again anyway, so I'm not going to try to beat that. So I'm just going to block in the most natural way and then see what happens. I blocked with the Jailbreaker on the Centaur Healer, so that if he wants to kill the Jailbreaker with Combond, then he actually has to keep the healer around, which doesn't populate, but it's not that big of a deal. So yeah, sadly he had the Rootborn Defenses there. And a second Call of the Conclave. Okay. So we do get rid of another elemental here and one of his cards. I think that's also the best play we have. Yeah, it has to be. And then we have to take some damage, and then hopefully we can untap and have... Well, let's see. If we keep open mana for the troll, or both trolls to regenerate, and we also have a giant growth, and we could drop another 2-drop like the Drudge Beetle. So if he doesn't have anything, then it's actually possible that he can't really attack all that well. I'm not saying it's likely, but there's a possibility that he's actually not that far ahead. But if we Assassin Strike the Elemental, it's certain that one Elemental is going to hit us. So that's certainly not what we want to happen. I think I actually dropped the Drudge Beetle here. It seems weird, but I'm going to try it. The discard aspect on Assassin Strike isn't really relevant, because he's able to play all his good spells anyway, so don't really see a reason to. Okay, you see, that's a pretty good turn of events for us, because our Jailbreaker prevents him from attacking with his 3/3s, and that should give us an opening to block his Sunspire Griffin, kill it with Giant Growth, and then have one less creature to worry about. If he attacks with everything, then we just eat more of his creatures and take the least amount of damage possible. That's the alternative. But I'm fine with that, because Drudge Beetle is happily just blocking an 8/8 at this spot. And then if we draw a land, we can Assassin Strike and keep open mana to regenerate, as long as it's not Rakdos Guildgate. But we have some place, so it's not all that bad. Wow. So that's his attack. We could block with both, forcing a regenerate on both of them, but that doesn't make much sense. I don't want to take too much damage against what is it called? +X for each creature. So I think this block is fine. We don't need to put our Lotleth Troll in front. I think he just wants to eat some of our mana, so. Once again, there's no reason to show him that we have Giant Growth. And we drew a Dagger Drum him, so we can just keep up the plan of leaving up as much mana as possible, like we did last time playing the Drudge Beetle. If he doesn't advance his board, then we are fine with that, and of course something like an Inspiration is going to find him better cards, but it could also just be like random 2-drops like Drudge Beetle. It's not amazing to play against these two elementals, but it's also not a losing position currently. That might change though. I don't want to put our hopes up too much. So here we have the option of just blocking both elementals and then taking 2. Alternatively, we can also chump block with the Drudge Beetle and take 0, which does give us the option to just Giant Growth the Sunspire Griffin out of the game, but I think we want to hold on to that Giant Growth. I have a feeling that it's going to be important, so if we chump block with the Drudge Beetle, we can make Dagger Drum a 3/3, which is a good start. But at the current state, we can't afford to utilize all our mana, which is a problem. So I think we just preserve our life total here and wait for him to make the first move. With Daggerdrome Imp in play, and the Sewer Shambler in hand, what we can do is make the Daggerdrome Imp a 3/3 and turn the race in our favor while still keeping up at least 3 mana. So if we draw a 4th one, we would still have both the regeneration shields available. The blockade makes it a little more difficult though. Cross the Guildmage has been an awesome draw every time I've seen it. I think that's still true. We're just going to play it, not worry about the other stuff we have available to us. And now his offensive options aren't that amazing anymore. I'm not attacking with Daggerdrome Imp because of security blockade. Almost looked like he was thinking about an instant there at end of turn, but I mean, if he had Eyes in the Skies, he would have cast it a long time ago. I'm a bit low on mana, sadly. And I want to use the second ability here to just make some more chump blockers and get something going, but I think this is not the turn to do so. Next time I'm going to have more mana still, so second Sunspire Griffin, that's okay. I think we want to make the Daggerdrome a 3/3 with the help of the Sewer Shambler and keep the remaining cards as defensive options. We are kind of weak to several tricks and bounce spells here, but pumping the Imp is certainly a good thing. We could attack with it, and that means we gain 2 each turn. Well, he is dealt 2, we gain 2, but then he hits back with the Sunspire Griffins, and we basically reduce both of our life totals. I think that's not what we want to be doing. I think we want to keep back. With the Daggerdrome in play, he shouldn't really be able to attack us. Or at least he has to have a combat trick to do so. And then maybe we can make that giant growth count or do something else. We also have the option to just turn into our Jailbreaker or our Dredge Beetle into a couple of Saprolings to reduce the pressure a little bit. I also have to hope that he isn't sitting on 3 amazing spells, because then it could be getting kind of complicated. At some point I also have to assess and strike an elemental, I believe. I don't want to spend 4 mana each turn simply because he could attack. Okay, so that's interesting. He has a main phase Dramatic Rescue on the Daggerdrome Imp, which certainly isn't what we want to see here, but it's also not too bad, I guess. We can keep it around and use it with Giant Growth. Alternatively, we could sacrifice it, make some 1/1s. But only 3, and I think that's weaker. I'm going to let that resolve, and hopefully his attack this turn isn't too brutal. He has some pretty easy attacks with both elementals and both griffins, but it's not out of the question that he just attacks with everything, and then we might be in trouble. Okay, a detained creature as well, so this is looking a bit problematic here. But given that he just detained the Jailbreaker, I think we have a pretty easy activation of Korosta Guildmage here. It's not great, because we would love to have more mana available, but turning this into 4 chump blockers is a pretty good deal, so I'm going to do that without even thinking about it too much, simply because it's going to give me some good blocks. We can trade the Drudge Beetle for a Knight, which isn't amazing, but it saves us some damage here. I don't think I can afford to block with Korosta Guildmage though. Now, the Troll could actually kill something, but only if we discard the Daggerdrome Imp. Now, it's very possible that we need to Assassin Strike next turn, and that the Imp is kind of too slow anyway. So let's see, if we block the Knight with the Troll instead, we could actually just double block a Centaur with Drudge Beetle and Guildmage. No, that doesn't make any sense. We can't really afford to do that. Now, what I like better is killing a Centaur with Drudge Beetle and a Sap Rolling. That seems like a reasonable block. And that way we still take 7, which is a lot. But the Sap Rolling is going to block the Arrestor, which is better than chump blocking a Centaur. Okay, I think that's what we want to be doing. Not sure, maybe we also had to block with the Guildmage there. Do another Daggerdrome, which is nice, but let's just get an elemental out of here. And then we keep up regeneration, I guess. Yeah, not much choice there. We also get his last card, which could be valuable. No, it's only an X-Bane Guardian, which he didn't play. Okay. So don't think we should take too much damage here next turn. But of course, it's still not looking good. Also have to watch my time a little bit. Already down to 8:45, and this is game 2. So let's hope you just drew a land here. We can chump block the Elemental, and then we have 2 good blockers and the Guildmage, which we don't really want to lose. Okay, Palisade Giant, that's pretty amazing draw there. Sadly, he didn't have it in hand, so that our Assassin Strike got it. Now he can just attack with everything, and all damage is going to go to the Palisade Giant. So we aren't going to kill anything this turn, but we do get to kill the Palisade Giant if we block with everything, or if we discard the Imp into the Troll. Still, it's not looking good with the Palisade Giant on the board. So I think we almost have to kill it here, and that probably means blocking with the Guild Mage, because Daggerdrome Imp is actually pretty important for our plan. So, as it doesn't matter what we are killing and our stuff is going to die anyway, we can... The troll doesn't die, and the Trestle Troll doesn't die, whereas these creatures die certainly. So we can just prevent the most damage possible with a block like this. Drew a Stonefair Crocodile. Not amazing, but also not too bad. So we do have a Drudge Beetle, but that's far too expensive. If we drop both of these for 5, we still have Giant Growth and the Regeneration. That's probably more than we can expect from our mana situation. So let's just go for that. Sadly, I see no way to not block the Elemental, which is kind of sad. Because we are slowly turning this into a board position where we can actually kill quite a lot of his creatures without much trouble. But I believe we just Giant Growth, Daggerdrome Imp here to eat a Griffin, block the Elemental with a Troll, trade our Crocodile for his Centaur, and maybe we can afford to kill his Arrestor with our Trestle Troll if he attacks with everything. If he doesn't, that's also very good. Like, the fewer creature he attacks with, the better. Which I guess is always true when you are planning to regenerate your stuff. So, let's see. This is an easy block. This is an easy block. Well, let's see. If we trade these and this, we could now prevent 3 damage by blocking like this, taking 4. But we can actually take 5 and then gain 4 again, going to 4. And we deal with 1 more creature that way. I think that's probably better. I mean, we have to assume that he didn't draw anything spectacular here. If he has another spell, like that Palisade Giant was almost too much to handle anyway, so... Now, we certainly want to make the Daggerdrome Imp a 3/3, but I think that we have to stay back on the defensive, because otherwise he just hits us with everything, and we can't afford to take that. Now, is that true? We gain 2 from Daggerdrome Imp, and then he attacks with everything. But if we don't attack with Daggerdrome Imp, then the Sunspire Griffin can't attack. Yeah, but he still just attacks with everything then, and we don't want that to happen. We probably have to go down to 1 though, next turn. Don't really see a way around that. Next turn, when we untap and have both Regeneration mana up and potential draw steps or Grisly Salvages or Explosive Impacts, things should be better, but okay, I was going to complain that he's drawing spells after spells. This counts though. I mean, he does get a mana to regenerate his Sentry, but that's about it. There are several cards that would still be pretty good here, like drawing the Terrace Worm, for example. Okay, that's just a forest. I'm not going to play it to make him scared of whatever I could have here. And like I said, attacking, it's kind of a zero-sum game, I guess, but he loses 2. He could always forget to use his blockade, I guess, which is also good for us. No. So, not that amazing here. He doesn't really have a good attack here now, I feel like. That looks interesting. I mean, yeah, then you have to attack with everything. So we eat this and prevent this. +2/+2 and trample. Okay. So we have a little more than 5 minutes to win the third game. And he does have Selesnya Charm as well, which is a problem, but don't know what we should do about that. Now, we can't do much against this land. Deviant Glee sounds like a good way to take it to the skies again. And even though he does have Selesnya Charm, we have to do something proactive there. So I'm going to put that in. I need the regeneration, I think. And I want the aerial predation this time. Decoy seems kind of weak, actually. I think we could do without that. I want the cheap scavenge creatures. Well, Decoy is just very amazing most of the time, to be honest. We could take out the Slum Reaper once again. We are playing against a Selesnya deck, so yeah, that's probably a good idea. Here we go. 2 forests, crocodile, predation, guild mage. Yeah, we mulligan this. We are missing swamps and we don't have the 6 drops. And then we have to keep this hand despite not having a creature. But I don't think you go down to 5 with a hand that has some nice potential. And yeah, drawing one of our 3 Daggerdome Imps certainly counts here. Also, and that's not irrelevant, it does give us the option to win quickly, which is important when you have only 5 minutes left. I would have played Deviant Glee here, but I think getting that troll into play has to be better. He shouldn't really be able to block it. Okay, we can make the troll a 3/2, but we can't discard 2 creatures. On the other hand, it's very unlikely that he blocks because of that danger, and if he does, we can still play the Giant Growth in our hand. And he doesn't block. I'm going to discard the Jailbreaker immediately. I think I want to deal as much damage as possible, and I don't want to rely on a 4-mana defender to accomplish anything on this board. It looks like he might be missing a second white for Sunspire Griffin and cards like that. Okay, that looks like Woodborne defenses to me. But that's actually fine. I mean, we have the regeneration and we actually deal 1 more damage. He could have cast the Woodborne defenses before blockers, but then he's always in danger of just losing both creatures there. Don't know what I would have done. I think you just play the defenses, maybe even in my upkeep or something like that. So let's hope it's just a Sunspire Griffin here on his side. It's nothing, okay, or it looks like nothing. It might not be nothing. So I think we can afford to attack with the Troll once again. Our life total is fine, and we have several ways of interacting with whatever he would do. This attack is pretty bad against Druid's Deliverance, but he hasn't shown that so far. There also isn't that much to put in the way of the Troll. Okay, no blockers once again. Let's see if the damage resolves. Probably activating. No, he does have Druid's Deliverance. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of bad. So we do take quite some damage again, but I think it was okay to risk that, not keeping back the Troll to block. I'm not too sure. Let's hope he has a flyer here that we can aerial predation. Bingo. This is a pretty big deal. Being able to use our mana there and gaining 2 and getting rid of his blocker and so on and so on. I'm not going to play this defensively. I think that we are either winning or going down in flames, basically. So he prevents 1, which means he's basically at 10. And he only has a white open. The only card I can think of is Swift Justice. So I'm going to discard Trestle Troll and Giant Growth the Imp for 10. And that's game. We won. I hope you like this look at how to draft Golgari after first picking Golgari, Corrosda Guildmage out of a Golgari heavy pack. We didn't get quite all the cards we wanted, but we had some very powerful interactions. And as it turned out, our late game plan of making a giant Dagadrom Imp was really helpful. So were all the support cards, especially the Giant Growths, really showed their value, I believe. And boarding in that Deviantly turned out to be very good. Maybe we should have main decked it after all. So, but of course it's better against Selesnya decks overall. Hope you enjoyed this Return to Ravnica draft. As always, I'm Simon Goldstein recording Simon Says for MTGOacademy.com. See you next time.